the tour for this Yunnan Provincial Museum, let's take a look on the logo of the Provincial Museum. Now you could see for this logo is in the shape of an ox. You could see the horns and also the body of the ox. So today we are going to explore more ox elements in the Provincial Museum. So on outside you could see the color is very bright and very beautiful. And in these 2 days, the weather is very good in Kunming. So this is actually one of the most visited places in Yunnan province. Actually, for the inspiration for this kind of museum is coming from a stone forest. It just looks like you're stepping inside of the forest and then you are able to see some of the cultural relics. So we are actually integrating the nature as well as the culture. If you look closer, we could see there are many patterns. And also I can see a replica of a cultural relic. This is a golden bird. And this one is actually also one of the treasures of the museum. So when people look at this, we can actually attract visitors to the exhibition in the Provincial Museum. And for this golden bird, it used to be a god in the local regions. And this year, the Spring Festival is quite unique, and many people stay put for the Spring Festival because of the epidemic. You could see we have been tightened up our measures. And first, we have to scan the health code before we enter into the Provincial Museum. So now I have obtained a green code. So right now the museum has just opened and still we have some visitors here. So probably in the afternoon we will reach a peak. Now we are inside of the lobby of the Provincial Museum. After you enter into the lobby, you could see it's very spacious. And also you have this kind of solemn atmosphere, so you could take the time to experience the culture. So actually today is the second day for the Chinese New Year. And many people would love to pay a visit here. And first I would like to introduce you one of the cultural relics. And this also represents the traditional culture in Yunnan province. So we are putting this in a very distinctive place, and for the visitors they can have a very close look on this item. This is a cultural relic, and actually it is one of the cultural relics has been brought back to Yunnan province. So this can be dated back to the Qing dynasty, and this one is to recruit the luck. So in the past, actually, this cultural relic was buried in the debris. And later on, we are able to excavate this item. And this item was collected by an expert in Taiwan. And we also communicate with the director curator of the Taiwan Museum. And later on, we are able to bring this cultural relic back to Yunnan province. So for this one, it is actually not a complete item. But for some of the pieces, were missing, and because of the war, and this is the only piece we have obtained from the Taiwan expert who has been collected this cultural relic. And also we have different pieces and different part of this cultural relic. We have been displaying those other parts in the exhibition. So if you have like more items related to this cultural relic, please reach to the contact to the Yunnan Provincial Museum. Maybe we can bring more relics for exhibition. And today is the year of Ox. Actually, we have many activities in the Provincial Museum. In the year of Ox, actually, we prepare the red packet for the visitors. So actually, this is the place where we put all of those red packets. And also we have the menu for the Yunnan Provincial Museum. So this is the red packet. You could see a very lovely cartoon character. And actually for this character is designed by some of our working staff. And actually for each one of the red packet, we are actually putting a note inside of the packet. So what is that? This is also a very good one. So this one is for you, and wish you all the best for the new year. And also I can see there are some kids here. I would like to send some of these red packets to the children. So I would like to open this red packet for you. And this is a note for you. Auspiciousness. Wish you all the best in the year of Ox. So from this place you can go to the second floor. Actually, you could see the elevator is actually hidden between the two walls. And this is also a very special design. This is also coming from the inspiration from the mountains and rivers in Yunnan province. Actually, in Yunnan province, they have very different geological condition. So when you enter into the museum, we also want to bring that special natural scenery to all of you. And also you can pay attention to the other walls. So if even you're staying downstairs, you can actually look at what happens upstairs. So we are trying to integrate the different designs on different floors. Actually, we just want to bring the idea to people that people could have an immersive experience when they are visiting the Provincial Museum. So when we enter into the Provincial Museum, first of all, you could also see another replica. And this is the sacrificial vessel with ox and the tiger. So this is a replica, and then we are going to find out the original piece. So why you consider this sacrificial vessel as the treasure of the museum? So actually, when we talk about the treasure of the museums, that represents the attraction from the visitors. So when we say the treasure, maybe they're one of the most popular item in the museum. Right now we are coming to the exhibition hall, which we could see the sacrificial vessel with the ox and tiger. Now, after you enter into this exhibition hall, you could have this kind of immersive experience. So we actually follow the bridge and entering into the exhibition hall. So for the sacrificial vessel with ox and tiger, it is one of the cultural relics from late ancient Dian state. I believe this item was discovered in AD 66. So soon we are about to see the sacrificial vessel with ox and the tiger. Alright, this one is the original piece, the sacrificial vessel with ox and the tiger. It is actually excavated in Yijia and it is one of the most important excavated pieces. So what is your first impression about this piece? So what is the function of this kind of sacrificial vessel? So back in the ancient Dian state, it is actually a sacrificial vessel to put on the offerings. So it is quite sacred. This is actually a quite exquisite item. So it is in the shape of ox, and actually it is hollow in the middle. And there was some legend from this piece of cultural relics. They're saying that for this large one, the large ox, he is actually protecting the younger ox. But people also are saying that for this younger one, the smaller one, this is actually not a young ox, because if you look at the horns, so this one is actually a growing ox. And for this significance of this piece is saying that even though the large ox was bitten by the tiger, but still we have another ox coming out. So from the shape you could see actually the tiger is biting out the tails of the large ox, but still the ox is able to revive. But if we look at the design, it is in perfect balance. So in terms of structure, it is very balanced and also very delicate design. And if you look at the expression of the tiger, it's very vivid. This is also one of the features for the pieces that have been excavated from the ancient Dian state. So I believe the bronzeware from the ancient Dian state is quite different from the bronzeware coming from the central plain. From the ancient Dian bronzeware, it is quite realistic. That is one of the unique features. Back in that time, we have very limited documentation, and also we have collected a lot of archaeological information to better understand all of those culture. And soon we will see some of the shell storage vessels, and also it will tell us more stories happened in the Dian culture. So look at this one. You could see many scenarios embodied in this piece of relic. So this is actually a bronze buckle in the shape of ox head. So for the buckle, it's actually one of the decoration. It's just like a belt. You're using this buckle together with the belt, so you can put it on your dress. So you could see it's very exquisite for the design. It's realistic, and also I believe it carries a lot of meanings. If you look closer to the horn, you could see it feels like there is blossoms on top of the horn. So in the middle part, you have the skull of the ox, and also on the two sides, you have two smaller ox. So right now, many experts, they're actually studying this piece, and people are wondering why they put so many skulls of the oxes on this piece. So as you are talking about, we have many significance of these kind of relic. And I believe there are a lot of inspiration putting into of this design. And for other decoration pieces, maybe they may be used for other functions. For example, some of them, they have a L-shape buckle. Maybe they're so for those kind of decorations you will not put on the dress, they may have other functions. And also in this piece, you could see some of the shape of the snake. And actually for some of the bronzeware from the ancient Dian culture, you could see the shape of ox, in the shape of snake, and also in the shape of deer. So if people are not coming from Yunnan province, they may see all of these pieces are quite special. Here I would like to introduce you another piece. It is another buckle. It is actually the struggling, the fight between the cattle and between the ox. And actually this year we have hosting a special exhibition featuring culture of the ox in China. And actually after the end of the fighting between the cattle, we will have a special sacrificial ceremony. So I believe this is a special event for people who are living in the southwest. So this is even a buckle, a very small item, but still you could see around 30 characters. And if you look closer on the expression of those characters, it's quite vivid and exquisite. And also we have some other buckles that featuring the fighting and the struggling between animals. Indeed, there are many decorations with the element of ox. And this one, we have a bronze pot. And also we have these ox elements. And in this area, we have 5 pieces of ox decoration. And some you could see the shape in tiger, the shape in ox. And for each one of the ox, you could see the expression is different, and also the way they're putting their horns and ears are also quite different. So actually there are different types of ox or cattle. As we just talk about the sacrificial vessel with ox and tiger, that kind of ox is called feng ox. And it is also a very special ox in Yunnan province. And also for this kind of ox, you could see there may be a hump on top of their body. And if you look closer, you could even see the hair on the fur of these ox. And on the left side, we could see 5 buckles. And for these buckles, they're also featuring the struggling and the fighting between the beast and the animals. So for this piece, you could see actually the ox is in the middle. We can clearly see the horns of the ox, very vivid. And also you could see the movement of the tiger. It's very expressive. It just feels like you are looking at a photo. So back in 2,000 years ago, for these craftsmen, they actually dedicated themselves to making all of those relics. Here I can see 4 photos here, and 2 of them have the ox elements. Actually, the buckle is very small in size, but still, these craftsmen are able to carve the figure of the characters. And actually, they are using the waxing techniques to do their work. But if they are working on large piece or these sacrificial vessels, they are probably using more complicated methods to carve the ox and tiger and also the expression of the characters on the relics. So I would say the ancient Dian state is well known for its bronzeware. But still, people were saying that later on, the ancient Dian culture has been disappeared. But still, we have not yet come to a conclusion of the disappearance of the Dian culture. But we still have to refer to the archaeology studies. But still, we have not yet come up to the conclusion that the ancient Dian culture has been disappeared. So as the Yunnan Provincial Museum, we have to tell the story based on facts. So we need to do more studies about all of those ancient Dian culture. Now we are going to the third floor, and actually during the Spring Festival, we actually bringing you a special exhibition featuring the culture of the ox in China, and also featuring like time passing by with the year of ox. And also we are trying to organize a amber exhibition. So on and on in the Spring Festival, we have 3 exhibitions. So all of these exhibitions started from early February, so the local visitors and residents are able to visit the Yunnan Provincial Museum and take a look at those treasures, antiques. So in March, we are about to prepare new exhibitions. So if we really want to pay a visit to our special exhibition during the Spring Festival, make sure that you come here during February. So now we are coming to the 2021 special exhibition featuring culture of the ox in China. So I think for these 2 ox is quite familiar. So this is actually the logo we have been printing on the red packet. And for these 2 logo and mascot is actually designed from our working staff. So all of these are designed by the working staff. And for our provincial museum, we have different disciplines and people are working from different areas. So people feel very pressure, and for example, they need to have some like specialized knowledge, and also they have to keep learning to keep up their work. But I think it is a very good opportunity for them to work in the provincial museum because they can always learn more. Alright, this is the special exhibition, the time passing by with the year of ox. So for this poster, in terms of the design, I would like to give you some introduction. So now you could see the ox in the middle. It also represents ambition. And also for the blue color, it actually represents the leather field, which are also very specialized in Yunnan province, meaning that the ox is able to make more progress in the new year. Now we are entering into the exhibition hall. So now we have coming into the first section. It is called the history of ox, or the origin of the ox. If we want to understand more about the ox, we have to pay attention to the details of the ox. For example, if we look at the objects, we will look at its length and also its categories and also its features of its appearance. So this is the first part. We will look at the origin of the ox and also the history of ox. So actually we are using a Chinese idiom to name this section. So here you could see some of the horns of the ox. Actually, it is hollow inside. So that's why people would like to use this kind of horns to use box and make it into a workbox. And today we are trying to put ox into different categories. But actually for some of the goats, they also belongs to the category of ox. As for the rhinos, they're not part of the ox, even though they look pretty much alike. So in this map, actually you could see the different classification of ox. Also, we have a model here to show you the structure of the ox, especially the stomach of the ox. So for example, when the ox eats the grass, how the grass flows inside of its body. So it will go through the intestine and also come back to the stomach. And from this session, we will discuss the relations between human beings and the ox. By understanding the ox, we also want to better understand ourselves. So that is actually one level up for us to understand ourselves. So right at the beginning, people will capture ox through hunting. So in terms of the size, human beings are only like 1/5 of the size of the ox. That's why we need to use different tools to capture seize the ox. And in this session, it actually shows different kind of tools for humans to capture the ox. Now you could see these knives and tools are actually coming from different dynasties at different times. These are all the hunting tools. We have the stone axe, and also we have some like bronze tools. So in this session, we will talk about the relations between human beings and also the ox. And in this session, we are also talking about how human beings domesticate animals. So this is not only limited to cattle, and also they are trying to domesticate some of the plants. For example, the apples, corns, and some other kind of crops. So it's hard to say how this domestication occurs. So this is a interconnection between the human beings, the plants, and also the animals. So with the domestication, we are able to bring all of those animals and bring all of those plants into other parts of the world. So in these areas, we also see some of the replicas. So this is, we could see there were some of the paintings on top of the rock. But this is not the original piece, these are some of the replicas. But still, you could see some of the ox elements. So for this one, this piece is actually coming from Changyuan of Yunnan Province. Here you could see people are using ox for farming. So for this painting, it's actually capture the production in the field. So when people putting on some of those graph on the rock, on the stone, they actually capture the stories happened back in the old days. This is a way of expression, and this is a way for taking notes. So some people, they may like to write up the notes, and some people would like to do some paintings to capture what happens in the past. For this one, it feels like it is a hunting process, and this is showing that how people are able to seize the ox. So here we have put some of the teeth on exhibition. There are teeth from different species. Maybe you could have a guess which one is the teeth for the ox. And actually this one is the teeth for the giant panda. Actually for mammals, we have done a lot of research. So if we look at the teeth, we could understand more properties and characters of those mammals. And by looking at the teeth, we could also gather some information about a specific species. And for this one, it is the teeth for deer, and also the teeth is quite wild. And this one, it actually looks like a fossil for the teeth for the elephant. It's quite long for the teeth. And last one, this one is actually the fossil of the teeth of the ox. Also, it's very long and very big. So this is the first section, the origin of the ox, and actually we talk about the evolution of the ox. And of course, we would like to give you more introduction about the diversity of the ox. So we want to do the breeding, and also we want to breed ox and cattle for good quality. So actually we have set up a gene bank so that we can reserve the biodiversity, so that we can improve the immunity for these species. So this kind of species will sustain healthier. So actually this year the biodiversity meeting was held in Yunnan Province. I think if we put some of those relics in the exhibition, so people may have a more direct experience for all of those relics. So for this map, you could see a distribution from different types of ox in Yunnan Province. And also we have some untrained oxes in Xishuangbanna. So for this one, it also looks like the hump ox, because we do see some big humps on top of the body of the ox. So actually in Kunming, we have many places named after the character ox. In Chinese, it's called Niu. So just take a look on those names of the places. And also here, it shows some of the dialects that include the elements of ox. So maybe we could have a guest for these different kind of dialects. So for the first one, literally it means like rolling ox. What does that mean? Actually, it means that you have to pay a very high degree of usury. And also for some of the names, actually meaning that you are very tall and very strong. Well, it's very difficult to guess like for the local dialects, but it is quite a vivid description. So as you could see, the element of ox has been integrated into our daily life. If you talk to each other, actually you may easily use an idiom with the element of ox. And sometimes we are talking about the temper of some people. They're saying that you just look like an ox, but it doesn't mean that it is a negative meaning. Maybe also it can represent that you're quite resilient and also you're very strong. So just now we have given you some introduction about the origin of the ox. And in the second section, we will talk about the culture of the ox. So I believe in this section you may be more interested. And here we would give you some introduction about the ox in the ancient times. I think for the left side, the relic is more or less like the sacrificial vessel with the ox and tiger. And actually for this one is a bronze pillow. Anyone want to try this pillow? Maybe it is too hard. But I believe back in the old times, this is very practical. For example, for people from a noble family, they may love to sleep on this kind of bronze pillow. But they have to be very careful. But I believe this kind of a bronze pillow will be put into a tomb. And also on top of those pillows, you could see some of the lovely character of the ox. And also we can have some like patterns of ox. Just as I said, also in some of the shell storage vessels, we also see some of the different patterns. They're actually telling a story of what happened in the past. So for this one, it is also a sacrificial vessel. This could actually reflect the social ranking of the master. So I think for some people, they want to bury it with some of these sacrificial vessels. They must bring in some of the precious collections. So in this section, we are actually putting a lot of the cultural relics with the element of ox. So what is this one? Have a guess. It looks like a pot. This is a shell storage vessel. So what is a shell storage vessel? Actually, it is just like a coin storage vessel. So back in the ancient Dian state, the local people would like to put some of the precious coins inside of this kind of storage vessel. And back in that time, all of those shells are considered as currency. And maybe we could use this kind of currency with other countries. So actually, bronze represents social status. and also represents power. It's not like every ordinary people are able and can afford to use this kind of bronze. So if you were having this kind of shell storage vessel, meaning that these kind of vessels are coming from the royal families. So for this shell storage vessel, if I look at the cover, it is also very exquisite. Now you could see in the middle we have the ox. On the other side you have the tigers and the deer. So I believe they love ox so much, that's why they make the ox so big. But if you look at the real size of the tiger and ox, maybe the tiger is bigger than the ox. But from this one, you could see the status of the ox. I think for this shape, it's very unique. It's quite round. It looks like a helmet. And actually, that is a cover. Some of these covers were excavated from ancient Dian states. And in the tomb battery, we could see some of people, they're holding this kind of umbrella cover. So by displaying this piece in this way, we can better protect and preserve this cultural relic. If we are putting an ox on top of this cover, so there is always a saying that it can actually protect the spirits. So actually this one is this umbrella cover, and actually beneath this piece of cover we could see some of the fossils of the teeth and also the skull of human being. Actually, in the second floor, we also have other kind of bronzes excavated. And when people come in here, they're saying that right now they still have this kind of tradition if somebody passed away. And then for the other people, they're still holding a kind of umbrella to protect the spirit of the deceased. So this kind of tradition has been passed for thousands of years. So for this one, I could see many ox altogether. We have 8 oxes. This is also a cover for the shell storage vessel. And the texture is a little bit different. Some of them are made from bronze and some of them are from gold gilt. And actually, if we look at some of the cover, maybe there may be a buckle inside of the cover. And for those buckles are still able to be used nowadays. So now it is actually we are looking at a bronze drum. This is also a sacrificial vessel. This can also represent the hierarchy of the masters. And this one is a very simple design. It's just an ox. And this one is also very nice. We could see 5 oxes and also together with the drum, and also it is another type of the shell storage vessel. Alright, now we come to another one. What is this? I believe this is also a shell storage vessel. Well, because I asked these questions, this is not a shell storage vessel. This is a 5-ox workbox, or we call the 5-ox sewing box. So what is the difference between the shell storage vessel and the sewing box? But of course, we will refer to the archaeological investigations. So for this kind of sewing box, we are able to find out some of the threads and the needles inside of the sewing box. So if we look at some of those pieces, we could say for this kind of relic, it is actually a sewing box instead of a shell storage vessel. Also very exquisite. So I think for people who are using these different kinds of relics, they may have different social rankings. That makes the difference for different kinds of the cultural relics. Now we are coming to look at some of the weapons. And some of the weapons are very practical. But still, for some of the weapons, they also have some decoration of ox, also with the peacock, I believe. And this also represents the social status of the people who are using all of those kinds of cultural relics. And this is also a bronze cup. Again, this is another shell storage vessel. So for this shell storage vessel, is also different from the ones we have just seen. So on the two sides, there were like two tigers serve as the handles, feeling like the two tigers are trying to get on top of the cover of the shell storage vessel. Now you could see the tigers, they're actually staring at the ox, and the ox are actually using the ox to prevent these tigers going up. And also on the other side, you could see one of the tiger is tormented with the ox, meaning that during the fight between the tiger and the ox, actually ox prevail. If you look closer, you could see the tiger looks very frightened. Indeed, it is a very vivid piece. If you just look at the expression of those figures, you can see what happened. Just look at the expression of the tiger. It's very panic, and also it's very frightened. So here we also see, I believe, two monkeys on the trees, and the two monkeys and the two birds. They're actually heating up this kind of tension between the ox and the tiger. So by looking at this piece, you can actually feel this kind of atmosphere, this kind of tension between the ox and the tiger. So now you could see the ox, they're actually using the horns to fight against the tiger. Very excellent piece. And on this side, we also showing some of the buckles of the ox and also the horns of the ox. We would like to pay attention to these two specific pieces. And this one is also a kind of a sacrificial vessel, a sacrificial decoration. So actually right now, for this kind of sacrificial ceremony, still occurs in certain minority groups. So here you could see one man is actually holding the ox, and also we have one man was hanging upside down, and also the other man is trying to hand the ox with a pole. Very nice craftsmanship. You could see there were many characters inside of this small piece of decoration. And for the other piece, it's actually a gold gluted piece. So it feels like one of the men was kicked by the ox and he was upside down. And also if we look at the expression, also it is quite vivid. So it can actually feel the emotions for each one of the figures on this piece. We have just talked about the craftsmanship, and for this one, it is also a hat decoration. We're actually using the green pine to make this kind of relic. So for the green pine, it's a large green stone. So if we talk about the craftsmanship, you could see they're actually carving the green pine into small pieces, and then they bring all of those pieces together to form this kind of skull of the ox. So actually that is a very complicated procedure. Till now, we still don't know how they're going to make it. So actually we have many pieces have this kind of green pine. It just looks like a plate. But if you look closer on the expression of the cow, still it's very vivid. So this section also displaying some of the weapons, and people also using some of the ox as totems. So this is like a ox carriage. Welcome back. So this is also a cover to cover the mouths of all of those oxes, so they're not able to eat the grass when they're working. Actually, it also shows the intelligence of the local villages. So as we just look at the bronze decoration, we're actually it reminds us with some of the traditions in Yunnan province. So back in the old days, we have around like 26 ethnic groups in the local region. But for these 26 ethnic groups, they want to form solidarities. So they have a special ceremony to make sure that these different ethnic groups can unite together. So this is a very traditional ceremony. And ox is actually a sacred animal to them. So it is not just the source of meat. It is not just an animal. It is actually part of our culture. So back in the old days, they always consider the ox as one of their friends. So if they're using ox as a representative animal, and also I still remember in the past when the CPC members coming to those villages, they are also trying to offering the oxes and the cattle to show their solidarity. And for ethnic groups, still today, they are considering ox a very sacred animal. So this is actually the ceremony for them to tie up the ox. And by the end of the day, after they kill the ox, and then they also share the meat with the local villages, and also they would like to put some of the items of the ox as offerings and offer these sacrifices to the gods and their ancestors. And here we have like 3 famous Chinese paintings. And from these paintings, actually, you could see the element of ox. For this one, it's actually carrying out the diligence and resilience of ox. Actually, for this painter, he is very famous for drawing the ox, and naturally it represents the ambition of the ox. So actually you could see the element of ox is actually part of our life. So I believe this year will be a very lucky year because we are celebrating the year of ox. And also we have some oil paintings also showing the spirits of the ox. Now we have come to the 3rd section. So we named this 3rd section called the prosperity of the ox culture. So actually, for the first 3 days of the Chinese New Year, actually we have an interactive section open to the public. So now when we are coming to the 3rd section, we are talking about the prosperity of the ox culture. We are talking about some of the artifacts that have been made from the elements of ox. So for example, this one is also a decoration. It is actually representing the horn of the ox. So this is a head decoration, but only on special occasions people would love to wear this kind of decoration. And in these areas, we could see the 12 zodiac animals. So let's try to find out where is the ox. So if you look closer on the base, actually it's quite different from these 12 animals. So actually for some of those animals, they have like special significance. For example, people would like to pick some of the animals to recruit the good luck and also to drive away the evils. So some people are saying that we are ranking these 12 animals by their habits. So actually right now we always consider ox rank as like number 2, just after mice. Alright, so now we have entering into an interaction section. So let's see what they're doing right now. Good morning. Happy New Year. What are you doing right now? Would you like to share with us? Actually, today we are coming to the Yunnan Provincial Museum, and my kids really love this kind of museums, and also they love the culture and also love the cultural relics. So actually right now he is making a New Year gift. So actually, we have one visitor, some people, they're actually carving the stamp and also to make it as a gift. So actually for some of the shape of the pattern of the stamp, you could actually recognize some of it. So actually this one, actually that is the golden bird put it in front of the museum. I'm not sure what is this one, maybe it is a shell storage vessel with the ox element. Yes, that is the shell storage vessel. And actually for this vessel, and right now we are sending it to other museums for exhibition in China. And this one is actually the sewing box. And also we have the treasure of the museum, the sacrificial vessel with ox and tiger. We just want to show all of those cultural relics to the audience and the visitors. And actually, we just have a very quick tour in the Yunnan Provincial Museum, and also we could see a lot of cultural relics with the elements of ox. And during the Spring Festival, we're organizing this special exhibition featuring the culture of ox in China. So we just want to sending out the best wishes to the Chinese people, and this year President Xi also made a call to the Chinese residents. So we have to serve our people, and also we have to carry forward the spirit of ox. So of course, we will bear all of those guidance in mind. So we have to continue to dedicate ourselves, and we all hope in the new year we could bring more relics to the public. And actually, there's a lot of Chinese sayings and also the Chinese idioms about the ox. And I hope this year and today's special exhibition can bring luck and also bring happiness to all of you. So let's work together and also to embrace a bright future. That is the end of the live streaming. So once again,